We are in North Hollywood, California at Barris Custom Industries, where we have the pleasure of spending a few minutes with George Barris. George, thank you very much for taking the time to speak to us.
Well, it's always my pleasure.
We are surrounded by the Munster coach here, the Monkey Mobile, and then from the movies, of course, the Fast and Furious car back there. What have you seen in the growth in the hobby and the industry since these cars were built?
Well, it's quite a change. As you can see, the Munsters was in the 60s from a ghoulish family. 3 Model Ts made into an 18-foot looking kind of a funny car, on into also the Monkey Mobile, which was more of a rock group with a hot GTO. The seams of the design and the concepts of the cars kind of switched to what we have today in the Fast and Furious, which is really tuner cars. That means imports. And they're street racers. It's something that we used to do in the 50s anyhow. We used to be with our Deuce Roadsters and the Fat Fender 40s and things like that. We were street racers. But now they got the tuner cars, which are imports. They're really dramatic. They're dressy, colorful, and they're pretty hot. And, of course, we've energetic changed the times for going into street racing into organized racing by many of the police departments and getting them off the streets, because it was the same thing we did in the 50s. We had to have Wally Parks get us off the street. So it's kind of a fun thing, but it's exciting. We got Vin Diesel, Paul Walker, and many of the different characters that do the parts. And, of course, in doing the cars themselves, we have to do many changes, wings and air dams and hot engines and a lot of dials, and now nitro. So it makes it more interesting and more fun.
The growth in the technology, say, the 50s and 60s, when you would get high performance out of a V8, the most performance you can, and it's evolved to the Fast and Furious type cars with the 4-cylinder motors that are, I think, handily outperforming the old V8s.
Well, a lot of them do, yeah. Even like this one here, it's a twin turbo, and it's in a rotor engine, front-wheel drive, makes it a lot different. But shooting the nitros gives us more oomph for a quick speed out of the chute, which was what we need for filming anyhow. We're not on the long runs. We're not running dry lakes for 200 miles an hour in a long distance. We're looking for something in a couple of blocks or 3 or 4 blocks that's got to win the race.
There seems to be a lot of interest in the nostalgia of the way cars were back in the 50s or 60s, to where they're re-emerging the popularity of that style of car.
Well, definitely. The K for Customs has continually grown and grown more. Maybe it's because the baby boomers, what we call baby boomers, the guys who were 16 years old when we first started, were looking at the fact, I wish I had that Mercury, or I wish I had that Deuce Roadster, but I can't afford it. Today they're 50 years old, they're businessmen, they're financially in the scope of being able to buy Mercuries customed, and if they can get an original Barris, they'd rather have that, or they would have one built. And, of course, the roadsters, you either go to Brizio or you go to Boyd, and many great hot rod builders all over the United States. But it seems to be now mail order. You pick up a street rod or hot rod or rod and custom, and you can mail order whatever you want. You want chassis, suspension, engine claps, whatever you want to get. You can just fill out the work order and do it. But I found that the cost has changed dramatically, especially in car shows where, like the Riddler Award in Autorama in Detroit, it's a major award for them to win. There was 24 cars in the line. The lowest price for those cars started at $500,000. So they showed that the guy that won it was $972,000. So we're talking dollar signs now when you're going in to win awards. It's a sport, and it's a very beautiful, wonderful sport. The designs, the engineering, what they're able to do, because we now have the equipment to do it. I wasn't that fortunate in the 40s. All I had was an arc welder and a acetylene welder and a little pounding hammer. Today they got shapers, formers, anything. You want Deuce Roadster metal bodies, you want suspensions, you want grills, you want hoods. It's there for you. We didn't have that luxury.
Let's imagine that you have the day off. You can come out and drive whatever you want. There's a 50s or late 40s style 48 Merc with a Carson top, and you've done all the work on it, or there's a Fast and Furious type of car sitting in your driveway. Which one are you going to go cruising in that day?
Well, I have about what we call 22 drive cars. I just finished shooting Starsky and Hutch with Ben Stiller and Irwin Wilson. I have hot little Torino, big engine in it. I kind of like to go in that because it's like a detective car. But the only thing is it's red. It's got a Nike stripe. Anson mag wheels, Goodrich tires, and it's kind of a thrill because it's pretty hot. Small size tires, front and rear. And if I'm not happy with that, I'll jump into the monster hearse and jump into that. I'll go into my Jeep if I really get mad, because then I can go over the curbs. And I drive my Night Rider sometime or whatever. It's kind of fun to do because it's a great sport.
Well, George, I know we caught you on a very busy day and you have to take off, so we'll watch and see which car you climb into. And thank you very much for being on the Vintage Vehicle Show.
Well, it's my pleasure. Looking forward to seeing you all again sometime.
All right. Thanks, George.